The LOL Comedy Club on West 46th Street in New York City just went out of business. Its last Saturday night was just a night ago. And today's podcast is me interviewing my friend Francisco Aldorando about Times Square comedy and all its incarnations in the very microcosm of West 46th Street, which really is an incredible training ground for a lot of great comedians. Gianmarco Soresi, Kenny Ortega, Francisco Aldorando. I could go down a list, but a lot of your good comedians at least did a little bit of time on West 46th Street. Me, I think I've spent too much time there, but honestly, performing on West 46th Street for crowds of tourists who did not want to be there is part of what made me a great warm-up comedian at TV shows. It gave me the ability to try new material, but really, as a performer, to adapt to the bombs going off all around you. It really helped me to be in the moment and to entertain people who did not want to be entertained. My friend Maria Laterza has a quote from Albert Einstein: "The measure of intelligence is the ability to change." And I'll argue the measure of intelligence is also your ability to adapt to change around you. And man, for me, the world just keeps changing. And that's what this podcast is about. This is the Tom Kelly Show, the podcast where one comedian, Tom Kelly, who used to be a big shot warm-up comedian in New York City, starts looking for the next chapter of his life. And I've had a lot of successes, but I haven't had the big cruise ship sail in yet. And this is about my search for that. You know, New York City is not what it used to be. It's not as dirty as they say it is on TV, nor is it as nice as it should be. Restaurant Row, which was the most beautiful touristy block for theater goers, is dirty right now, and that's where this comedy club was. Times Square. We could blame it on government policies. We could blame it on the migrant crisis. We could blame it on economics. We can blame it on more liberal smoking laws, but you know, Times Square is not as glittery as it once was. And this particular comedy club depended on the bright-eyed tourists who would give cash to a stranger and go into a strange building with them, and then Tom Kelly's comedy show would be inside. I'll also argue that the age of Venmo and not carrying cash is also changing this comedy club. But for real, if you look at comedy in Times Square in Midtown Manhattan, the famous Caroline's Comedy Club closed less than a year ago. We talked about that 2 weeks ago on the podcast with Ray Goots. The Grizzly Pear Comedy Club is struggling on West 54th Street. We could argue that the LOL Comedy Club had a business structure that just isn't working in 2023 in its current location. They're going out of business. Is New York falling apart? I don't know. But man, the world is changing. And at least for the places I've worked, the bright-eyed families, which I used to entertain in Midtown, you know, the ones that are eager to go to the M&M store and give their cash to strangers and see young entertainers starting out, just aren't there. But we're not here to be negative. We're here to celebrate a scene. We're here to celebrate a type of comedy. And you guys who have been listening to the show or experiencing my podcast for a while, you've seen me get some great crowd work clips out of the LOL Comedy Club. And we're going to learn a quick lesson from my friend Francisco Aldorando about how do you entertain people who did not go to see you to be entertained.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to LOL Comedy Lounge. If you're ready for a show, put your hands together for the final Saturday night and make some noise!
The Tom Kelly Show! Everybody, I want you to go to the Tom Kelly Show. I want you all to know about the Tom Kelly Show.
Here we go. This is so not balanced. Content warning, spoiler alert. If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with until she goes out of business. You are experiencing the Tom Kelly Show. This is an episode I've wanted to do for a while. I am here with my friend Cisko Aldorando, a legendary comedian in my mind. I've talked about him quite a few times on the podcast. Francisco is the king of what I call Times Square comedy. We are outside the LOL Comedy Club, and I'm going to tell the quick backstory if that's all right.
Please.
So listen, I've talked about the benefits and drawbacks of working at the LOL Comedy Club. It's off the beaten path. It's really a club just for tourists. And I said to Cisko, man, you and I, we don't go out to other clubs. We're too lazy when we work here. And Cisko just goes, well, that's good because they're going out of business tomorrow. And yeah, boom. I've spent countless nights with this man on and off over a 20-year period at, 4 different comedy clubs on that?
Sure.
Yeah, Francisco has the distinction of opening and closing every club that has gone out of business on 46th Street.
Not opening the first one, but I didn't open the original Ha.
You didn't redo? You weren't there?
I got there a year after, just when it turned. I was there at the beginning of when Ha started.
Okay.
So I started at Ha, and then I closed Ha, then I closed Ha, then I closed Ha, and now I'm closing LOL. But the difference is I'm not running it, hence no suit, no tie.
That's right, I forgot about your tie.
T-shirt. Yeah.
I forgot about your suits.
So let's go back 40 to 50 pounds ago. 60 even, I'd say.
God, you gained that?
I've gained that much weight, yeah. I got happy, I got fat, and I got lazy. Just like we were talking about.
All right, so let's go slow. Let's go slower. I think performing in this neighborhood is different than performing in other neighborhoods.
Yes.
How so?
Okay. If you're doing comedy anywhere in Times Square, here or Broadway Comedy Club,
right,
you have a majority of tourists in the audience. If you go downtown, you get a lot of bridge and tunnel people. You get a lot of locals. But you don't get that in Times Square. What you end up getting is a lot of people who are visiting New York City. They want to see Times Square, and after they see Times Square, they want to find something to do. Somebody sells them a ticket. Here they are.
So nobody, and this is, I think, a line that you started that we've all sort of incorporated into our acts, which is nobody's here on purpose.
No.
Which I love that line. I love that
No,
line.
if you want to show the line that's going in right now,
right,
all those people that are going into the club right now for the final show on a Saturday night here at LOL were just wandering Times Square looking for something to do after they did what they already did. Maybe they wanted to see Times Square. Maybe they wanted to see a show.
right.
But they want to go see it. And now we've seen that. What do we do now?
Here we go. So we're talking about working for a crowd that is not here on purpose.
No.
What is the secret to entertaining a crowd that is not here on purpose?
The biggest thing you got to do when you're either hosting or doing your act in a Times Square room where the entire audience is people who were just walking down the street and took a ticket from a stranger, is convince them that they made the right decision. So the biggest job the biggest problem is convincing these people, hey, you didn't screw up. You're in a good place. You're gonna laugh.
No, that's a great point. Yeah, that they're going to laugh.
It comes right from when you walk into the club. And again, we had a great team years and years ago. God bless the dead. God bless Biagio. But from the host when you walk into the club, that makes you feel like you made the right decision to be here, to spend your money here. And usually you have a good host, and that host within the first 2 minutes will make the entire audience feel like, oh, okay, cool. We didn't plan on being here, but I'm glad we came here.
So like what you make fun of the room.
You make it, yeah.
Right, but you also make people feel good about their choices.
Yes. Yeah. The biggest thing when it comes right down to it is if you can make your stuff work here in a room full of strangers that did not know they were going to a comedy show, your stuff is going to work anywhere. And that's the one thing that is going to be missed in the scene, and it'll be talked about years from now, is how all the guys who came through either LOL or Ha got better quicker and were able to take that and do crazy things and move forward with their professional careers.
That's a good one. That's a good one we didn't talk about, or we were talking about socially. Listen, I did 3 spots here tonight. I didn't have to go anywhere. I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I find that this place becomes what I call the golden or copper handcuffs, where you hear so much that you don't go anywhere else. Do you find, have you become a victim of that? Like Ray Goots was talking, we were talking about Ray Goots last week. Have you been a victim of your success here? I feel like I have been.
No, well, here's the thing. I got into this when I was 28. So I didn't have any like preconceived notions of like I'm gonna make it or whatever. I was just having fun. And for me, the past 20, whether it was running the club and being up until 7 a.m, cleaning up a fucking disaster, part of my language, of like the just flood from the sewers or whatever. I just wanted to have fun doing it. I salute anybody who's gone out and wanted to go, hey, I'm gonna make myself a name and go out and become famous. Yeah. I know a lot of famous people. I got famous people in my phone, but that's what they wanted to do. I started this late. I started this as an adult. So I just wanted to have a place to hang out, have a couple of drinks, and have a good time. And so wait, by that metric, I am the most successful comic you'll ever meet in your life because I am actually happy about where I am. Even right now with everything closing, where I'm going to go.
Wait, you know what's funny? You just asked, you asked a question that I was shy about whether or not I was going to ask you.
Right.
Which is, what's your why? You know, like, why are you doing this? Why the fuck are you still in Times Square? I mean, listen, you are, I often use the expression, there's something wrong with comedy that Cisko isn't making more money than he is right now, but you are happy here on 46th Street.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, give me 1 second. You know what? Let's revisit that in 2 seconds.
All right, you got to bring some acts up. Gotcha.
I love you, brother.
I love you too. Give me.
Where y'all ladies coming in from? Because I know you're not from here. Because you are holding on to your purse. Like, what's the matter? You got snacks in there? You think I'm a steal? You from Canada? Welcome to your shitty neighbor down south. Welcome, Canada. Good to have you. Welcome to reasonable cell phone bills. Yeah, I don't know if you know that. Canada, they tax everything. Everybody's fucked up over there. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to LOL Comedy Lounge. If you're ready for a show, put your hands together for the final Saturday night and make some noise! Keep it going for your next act, the one and only O.C. Caleb!
Fun, O.C. You know what I hate about this place closing? Is I've lost my safety girlfriend.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what this place, you know, like this is the place, and I'm sure it'll come back. I'm sure they'll reinvent. I'm sure he'll, like, I mean, that's the thing with this place is this LOL, you know, the LOL guys have had 3 or 4 locations. The hot people before them had 3 or 4 locations.
Well, you know, one day we'll do a podcast with just on that. I'll give you the full fucking.
God, yeah. Well, I mean, that's what's funny is you get into the thing of, like, 46th Street comedy. It's its own little planet.
Yeah.
That, you know, like, this is really one of the forgotten little chapters of New York comedy.
Yeah, we don't have an HBO series. We don't have Crashing.
We don't have but it is it. We were barking when Crashing was on the air, and
both Tom and I were out at different times. We're out there in Times Square handing out tickets. So and yeah, actually, you know what? We gotta definitely do that. Like,
that's a show.
Yeah.
But let's talk about it. Do you have like I remember when we used to perform down at the that's down on the other end of Restaurant Row.
Now the Ritz.
Now which is a gay bar.
Yes, and they're never not busy.
Yeah. What I like about that place is they post the best security warnings, and people still go in. There's a sign in the front that says, "Watch your wallets, watch your cell phones. Yeah. We're all getting mugged," and good-looking men are still flocking in there.
Yep.
Do you feel good being here 20 years later? Like I was just looking at. You used to LOL, the club you just performed in, the club that I perform in, used to be a bar you would drink in after, an Irish pub, right?
Yep, it used to be Old Flaherty's. And that's a separate entire podcast. That's one of those things where like, and I feel kind of guilty for saying it, because like everybody says you had to be there, but you definitely had to be there.
So, okay, what have you learned about yourself in 20 years of comedy, especially Times Square comedy?
The one thing I learned about myself was that at no point, and this is hilarious because it's kind of deep, at no point was I ever the man I thought I was. I was really good at putting on like a facade of like, yo, I got everything under control. But personally and professionally, I was just like, I got to do this. So I was able to throw myself into the workings and keeping the place open.
Right.
As opposed to like, hey, you know, at some point, like I started as a comic when I was 28.
I asked you, what did you learn about yourself? And you said, at no point was I the man I thought I was.
No.
What did you say that again?
I wasn't the adult that I thought I was. I could handle business. I could handle problems. I could customer service. It took a lot for me to grow up and realize the balance of having adult family and personal relationships balanced against me just being at work. I went through a period of time where I literally worked every day at some point. I lived above the club, but I was having so much fun doing it.
Yeah, see, that was
You
the nice
didn't
thing
realize, hey, you know, like my girlfriend at the time, put it this way, it took me taking the suit off to be able to look in the mirror and go, hold on, I'm a schmuck. And then meeting somebody that was actually able to be like, oh, he's a schmuck, but he's my schmuck.
Like, I miss the days when I knew everything. At what point did you start learning humility and humbling yourself? Was there a moment?
But it comes right down to, like, it was a series of things, but it literally took me taking the suit off because the suit.
So the suit that you wear all the time, being the comedy club owner or manager, whatever.
Manager, but for all.
But you wore it on stage for years after too, right?
I was on stage every day that I had a suit on. The only reason I did the stuff that I did work-wise was because at any given moment, and the biggest difference between, I think, myself and Ray Goots, who I love, shout out to Ray Goots, is that I had the stage. So at any given moment, if I had a problem and I was annoyed or angry, I can go on stage and just vent it out.
Here's something I never knew about you. Like my friend Cisko is always wearing comic book and cartoon shirts, just like I always do. When you used to wear the gaudy suit, was that manager Cisko or was that comedian Cisko?
There was no difference when I was wearing the suit between manager and comedian.
No.
The biggest thing for me was making sure everything ran smooth and everybody was able to have a good time. But I couldn't take off the suit there. The only time there's maybe 4 people walking the earth that aren't my direct family who have seen the real me while I was in the suit wearing days. And you ain't one of them. Because anytime I saw you, we were at work.
No, and I don't think I really started liking you until years after
I'm a
that.
schmuck. I gotta switch.
Go switch to comedian.
But then
Give it up for O.C. Caleb! My brother from another mother. I hope you guys are having fun, man. I'm going to keep the show moving right along. Your next act, very funny dude. He is part of the New York Comedy Festival. Please put your hands together for the very funny Alvin Quad.
It's a big question. This is the last Saturday night at LOL, 46th Street. What's next for Cisko?
salads. A lot of salads.
Real bullshit. You've been
A
saying
lot
that
of
for
salads.
years.
Got to do salads.
Are you really going to work on your health?
Yeah. Listen, I don't have I don't have to kill myself for some preconceived notion of like, oh man, I got a Saturday night gig, I got this, I got that for the next couple of weeks. I'm just gonna chill, take it easy. I'm gonna cut down on the drinking, cut down on the smoking. I really hope that by the time this is posted, you don't have to put a postscript that like I just died of a sudden heart attack.
Oh, I mean, that's part of why I'm doing these things is, listen, I did a Jimmy Buffett show just so I could get, you know, like I have the last Jimmy Buffett Jones Beach footage.
Nice.
Like, it's like he died just so I could...
so you can post it.
So I could charge the archiving fee. So, for real, you're going to work on your health? Are you going to be a human being? Can you be a human being?
I'm going to be more of a human being. But most importantly, now I have to go out for the first time in 20 years. I don't have a spot. So now I have to do what every comic does and go and try to get them or make my own. And it's honestly, I'm 49. It's daunting, but it's going to be fun. Like, I already know I'm funny. I can stand on stage for half an hour. I can tell jokes for 40 minutes. It's going to be being able to find a way to move forward. What's up, Jake? It's going to be able to find a way to move forward from this and still be able to get spots. And knowing that they're going to be, now that I don't have all these spots that I had, I have to make every spot count.
So,
And that's going to be the hardest part because my style, what I do is so much in the moment. Like, I have stuff that works, but now I have to put an act together. And shout out to Vanessa Hollingshead, shout out to Alabelle, 2 comics who showed me what an act is. Shout out to the late, great Jerry Diner, who showed me what having a routine is.
Jerry, I haven't thought about
Yeah,
Jerry.
now I have to. Now I've been here as a comic, right? I've just been a comic. I have no problem being now I have to go be a comedian. There's a world of difference in those two titles.
What does being a comedian mean to you?
Being a comedian
Yeah.
is very simply put, you have the ability to control the room. Being a comic means you're funny.
Okay. Comedians can control the room.
Yes.
Comic is just a funny person.
Yeah.
I like that.
And somebody else may have a different interpretation of it, but for me, the most important thing is being the smartest and the fastest guy in the room. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not. I can bluff my way through it. The fastest guy I've ever seen, period, hands down, Rich Aronovich.
Rich is fast-witted.
The best.
Rich quit drinking.
Yep.
You ever think about that?
Yep. I'm going to be drinking less now. You know why? Because I don't get free drinks at the club anymore.
All right.
You're looking at the last Saturday night. Hey, I'm hanging out, just having a couple of drinks. But this is again, like I said on stage, this is not a mourning. I've already mourned. I've already closed 3 clubs. You know, it's a shame it's got to go. But if you take anything from this, as long as you're breathing, there's tomorrow. And as long as as long as everything works and you're good and you can function, you're blessed and do everything you can to stay blessed. Don't let a win get to your head or a loss get to your heart. You got to keep going forward, and you got to do what you can do to make your life and the people and the lives of the people you love around you better.
You know what, my man? I was going to ask you one more question, but I think that's the big ending, as the Halloween costumes cheapened that beautiful advice you just gave.
Very fitting ending to the evening.
As a bunch of angels girls dressed as angels and fairies walk past you. All right, man. Listen, you know what? While I got it on camera, so that way if one of us...
Yeah, we got to get... Yeah,
by the way, Cisko sort of said it. I mean, it's a common joke, but every time I try to take a picture with Francisco, he always says, Tom, you just want to be able to write a good obituary if I ever died. But here's the moment we'll get a still store for of another time. But I do love you, my friend, and I enjoy...
I love you, my brother.
I enjoy sitting on this stool with you.
We got to talk more.
All right, folks. Podcast guaranteed twice a week, and maybe more now that I don't have a stage 4 nights a week, 6 nights a week, whatever the hell it is. And you know what to do. Show love where love can be shown. Cisko, where are you? Are you going to learn how to use social media? What are you up?
Yeah, I'm Aldorando on Instagram, and Francisco Comedy on X, formerly Twitter.
And there you go. And then listen, guys, with me, if you can, tag someone who'd like this. I'm doing new Instagram and social media stuff 4 or 5 days a week. Tag Long Island Reels, Long Island Wise Guy, or people who might appreciate people who are, germane to the joke that I'm telling. And you know what, man, we're rambling with the asks. Let's just get the heck out of here for one last time. Good night, LOL.